Welcome, Gabriella. Thank you so much for joining us on Gurus on the Spot. Really great to have you. You have such a close relationship with Sanskrit. You know, you absolutely love it. And that really comes across in all the chanting that you do, the songs that you make, and whenever you speak about Sanskrit. So could you tell us, how did your journey with Sanskrit begin? How is this all going, and how do you experience your relationship with Sanskrit?
So, how did the journey of Sanskrit begin? If I was to be totally honest, I wouldn't know the answer to it because I truly don't know where I've come from. Like, I really want to know, but I don't know. So something in me doesn't know the answer to that question because I feel sure it goes way beyond this life, but I can't guarantee that, but I feel it. So in this life, it started in my very early days because my parents attended Advaita philosophy classes, and then they sent me to St James School, which offered Sanskrit on the curriculum from the age of 4, and we actually both attended that school.
We did.
So then, um, after that, it was just something we studied, so it wasn't necessarily a big deal at school. But I do have like memories that stick out from it, and like, that was one of our teachers who used to chant the Shiva Sutras in assembly, and it was just so, I guess, unusual. I wouldn't have thought that at the time, but just to hear those sounds amidst all the other stuff going on in life, studying English, maths, and science and other languages, but then amidst all that to hear this soundscape that appealed to me, and obviously because of there being a love of music, that stayed appealing to me. And life has always been quite difficult for me, so it's not that I wanted an escape from life, but I always wanted to know more about life somehow. And at school, the only subject that could answer that for me was Sanskrit, like the only subject that had something in it that to me felt worth studying if I had to. I mean, I loved other subjects like English. I adore English literature, and that had the similar elements in some of it, for sure. And obviously studying art and music, similar elements. And if I'd given more time to science, I'm sure that would have been the same, but I didn't give enough time to it. So when I was younger, the only thing that could answer these yearning calls in me was Sanskrit. So that's why I studied it, and that's why I gave attention to it, because it didn't feel like studying for exams. It didn't feel like studying a class. It felt like now I have time, amidst all the peer pressures, all the rubbish that goes on when you're a teenager. Now I have some space in this class where I can just listen to these words from the Upanishads and be able to go through the meaning. And like, it didn't seem like a waste of time.
Mm. When you say that life has always been quite difficult for you and you found the answers in Sanskrit, what can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Well, I would say like the world as it is not an easy place to live in, and and just the society as it's structured doesn't seem to really be that amenable. Like to go on a realm of loads of study till the age of 18, and then carry on studying if being funneled through to university, and then finish university and have to think about getting a job that's going to pay the bills, that then would pay a mortgage, that then would save for your retirement. Like that's just, it seemed all too much for me. Like I just couldn't bring myself, and I still can't, to to make that life. And it's not that I disrespect it. I respect everyone's choices, but it was too difficult for me because the yearning for something else was too strong for me to accept that was the only life possible. So amidst that struggle, like that struggle between what society offers and what I felt is there,
Mm.
Sanskrit sort of became like a middle way through that struggle. So I haven't fully abandoned one for the sake of the other as such, but it sort of was that thread I could be held by.
A sutra, literally.
Yeah.
That's lovely. It sounds like it's enabled you to bring together your deep yearning and your knowledge that there is more to life, and the very mundane practical realities of living on this earth plane. And you do wonderfully embody, I think, the ability to be different and to be yourself and to really shine. So thank you very much for that. You chant Sanskrit every day, I've heard you say. And of course, the things that we do every day are the things that we become. You know, they shape us, they become very much who we are. What is the impact for you of chanting Sanskrit every day?
Well, I can really answer that with more experience since the lockdown, because when lockdown happened, I was always chanting some Sanskrit every day, but then there was lockdown. Then I realized now is a chance more than ever to chant, to practice these sounds every day, and like in the morning and the evening, and to really build a practice around it. So what I've noticed the effect of that is that everything seems to process quickly, like both in bodily cycles and a digestive system, like women's hormonal cycles. Everything is processing fast, and so including emotions, like stuff that comes up that in the past would take me a long time to figure out what it is and then deal with it. It's not an easy ride, but it's coming up and it's coming out, and I'm having to deal with things with much more frequency. So it's not made things easy, but it's made things like unravel. That's what it seems to me. And one of the chants which I've been enjoying has really helped me. It might not be this particular chant, it might be all the chants, but the practice of having a space where I go and sit and chant, that space has built up some sort of, I guess you can say, energy, but that space with the chants is a really sacred place to me at the moment. And sometimes if I need answers to questions, or even not looking for answers, but I can go into that space where I chant, and it's almost like the chants, the reverberations that are left over from them are giving me the answers to the questions. And some of the chants I sound by heart, but some of them I'm still reading from a text. And even in the ones where I'm reading from the text, sometimes, some days, I feel that that very text itself is strangely guiding me from those sounds, from those words. So I felt the result of chanting has been brought up loads of junk, loads but also really helping me move through things.
Yes, that is a great description, I think, of a powerful spiritual practice, whatever our spiritual practice is. I mean, people will often say that things get processed very fast. And I think your word of unraveling is very pertinent there. I mean, we've come back to the notion, I guess, of a sutra, the thread and tapestries and things unraveling, and then maybe finding one particular thread that then does guide you through.
Yes.
Practice of group chanting, which has become very popular in recent decades, really. So it's interesting, though, with kirtanam, because if you think about a practice like hatha yoga, the asanas, that's become very cool and hip, and people like to talk about which yoga class they go to and which yoga studio they go to and all of this. But I think that kirtanam can still feel a little bit far out, a little bit hippie-ish, a little bit out there. What would you say to people who are maybe interested in group chanting but feel like it's just a little bit too far out there? What is the impact of kirtanam? What are the benefits?
So my first response would be, when you said too far, some people might feel it's too far out there. My first response would be, what is it that's making it feel to you like it's too far out there? Because when some teenagers at 18 will go to raves and get totally high and do all this crazy stuff that I would say is far out there, but it's a natural cycle. Or we all have our far out there things. So I wonder, what is it in the whole kirtanam vibe? And it's not kirtanam itself, it's something about the way it might have been projected or the way it might have been presented that might make it seem far out there. Or perhaps it's the way everything else is in life that is making that seem weird. but it could be the other way round type thing. So that would be my first response. But then what would I say to people, what is it in the practice of kirtanam? That's been an ongoing exploration for me, like to explore. I would say it gives you a relationship with your voice on different levels that is a vital part for me anyway of just human existence, because if we're one of the species that has the capacity to communicate through the voice, and it's, for most of us, not all of us, but for most of us, it's our primary means of communication, even if it's through writing, like on social media, or through speaking in person. And to kirtanam, the practice of kirtanam, if it's practiced consciously, I feel builds a relationship with the physical voice, the more subtle realm of speech, and the whole realm of expression. And it's just a relationship to be explored. And and then on a whole other level, I found the practice of kirtanam, it teaches me to trust and let go and be able to, if I'm at the edge of like a cliff or something and there's a beautiful, beautiful lake below, and I really want to swim in that lake, but I'm too scared to jump off. Kirtanam is a practice that helps me be less scared and have the freedom to jump off and then enjoy that lake.
That's a beautiful image. And I think there's something about the group energy that when you are participating in a group kirtanam, a group chant like that, that you have access to being supported by other people's energy. And I know that recently I've heard two different spiritual masters actually say that when you chant together, each person leaves with the benefit not only of their own chanting, but with the benefit of everybody else's chanting as well. So hence the support to help you jump into that beautiful lake where you might otherwise be afraid to do it.
Yes, definitely. And the power of the group gives something to it that you can't have when you're alone. It takes it in a direction that can be completely unexpected.
Yes.
It can be a surprise for us. It's not what we can plan. We can never plan, both on our personal level and obviously on the wider level, which gives it something special.
Yeah, so if people are thinking about kirtanam but maybe a little bit scared, they can just give it a go and see how it goes. Do you have any group kirtanams planned coming up?
Coming up, there's one, if all goes, well, there's one on September the 5th, and then it will be monthly till the end of the year in London.
Wonderful. Okay, brilliant. So my final question to you is about Devī, the goddess energy, because this is something that, again, many spiritual masters recently, I've noticed, have really started speaking in very clear terms about the importance of the feminine energy and of bringing the world back into balance by empowering the feminine energy and women and the female. And this, of course, has been something that's been growing for decades. But I've just noticed in the last couple of years that there is a kind of clarity and almost an urgency that's coming through from different people who are speaking to the importance of Devī, the importance of feminine energy. With regards to chanting, can you speak to us a little bit about how do Devī chants differ to others? How do chants of the goddess that express the goddess, how do they differ? What is special about them?
Well, from my experience, which is brief, but from this brief experience, they have a certain energy about them, which is extremely intense. And it's like, you could compare it to a mother's energy, and the relationship for us with mother is often fraught. It's not all lovey-dovey. It's full of love, but amidst that, or just part of that love, is going to be frustration, frustrated desires, anger might arise, difficulties with feeling, the mother's love wants you and needs you to do this, but that's not really feeling right, or misunderstandings between each other, and fierceness and directness, and the mother will always tell you the truth whether you like it or not. So for me, what comes with chanting the Devī chants is it's it's more difficult in a way to really connect with them than it is to connect with, for in my experience, to say a Vishnu chant or a Shiva chant, because there's something with the more male energy chants that is so completely open and universal. It's almost holding the space, just there it is. So you have no thing to bounce back off.
Yes.
You can just enjoy being in that open space. But with the Devī chants, it's almost like they'll receive you when you have this really, really clear clarity, somehow intensity of not just yearning, but like an intensity of dedication to it, in a way, like you're really going to, and it requires your attention, like much more than other chants, like, to be so fully with it. And the whole soundscape of the Devī chants is different, are so different and so varied, and some of the words don't start off flowing so fluidly as others, but gradually when staying with them, they get to that fluid place. But Devī, the relationship I find with Devī chants, for me, it takes longer, and it's somehow more intense and very much more deep in a way. It's like a whole well to be understood and cultivated, and she will receive you when you've shown that you're completely willing to go right down to the very depths. But if you're staying on the top, you don't have that relationship with her. And the chants are just have the power to bring you to in some really, really, really it's hard almost to put into words, because, and sometimes it feels like the chants, you can't really describe what the impact, unless you're chanting them. But they definitely give strength, that's for sure, but they also have this capacity to cut through things, which is different from the others.
That there is so much there, and I think people will listen to this segment again and again, and I recommend that you do for audience watching, because I think as you hear that description, that will drop in and start to make sense and create meaning for you, because this distinction between the male chants, which, as you say, hold a space and almost are passive. They allow you to do what you want to do, but then it's up to you entirely. Whereas the Devī chants, it is about the relationship. It's like she will take you by the hand and move you through. So it is about relationship, and you have her energy then available to you, to the extent that you're able to surrender to it and be open to it and dance with it, I think, to allow it to move through. So there is that intensity. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Gabriella. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share, or anything else coming up online, maybe on Instagram, that people can come and watch?
Well, two things that I'd like to share. Firstly is it's such a treat to speak with you, Veena, because you have a way of connecting with people that's very special. It brings me and people like you in the world are very important. Everyone is important, but you have a very special energy, so I feel anyone who connects with you is blessed. So in that sense. But in other stuff coming up, there's hopefully a few albums we're going to release, this year, because there's been more space to produce them. And one is with a team from New York, and it's been great to collaborate, tell you the truth. And that album is called Holo Voyage. It's a journey, through the through the
Lovely.
mantras. So that's coming out, I think, in a couple of months.
Mm.
And and there's another album of meditation songs coming out towards the end of August. It's called Songs of the Human Soul, and then a few more musical offerings coming towards the end of the year. And of course, you can keep checking on the Gaia Sanskrit website and Instagram, Facebook. It just will have all the updates.
Brilliant. That is so, so wonderful. And thank you very much for your kind words, Gabriella. It's always a treat
Oh,
to connect with you. Thank you so much.
thank you, Vina.